what we do here is go back.
Hey guys, and welcome to the NiBBLE bi-weekly series, week 17. Today, it is going to be the most final eventful trio event that we have here in 2021, and I'm joined by no other than as a proxy. Welcome on board.
Thank you so much. It's been a while, to say the least, since we've done this. You know, load shedding has been the blight of the FNZA series for this last few bits of the season. But at least we're here for the final, week. We can check out these trios, see what they're going to be doing today, and who knows, might be seeing another new set of champions, maybe.
Definitely. I mean, the last week we had, Travis, the Cub, as well as Rejects come through with a absolutely sweeping. They, took in the most points in the entire 2021. So they hold the record now for, carrying that title going into this final NiBBLE series that we have on our hands. It is 160 points. Now, we can talk all about how that is going to be happening, but first and foremost, let's actually look at that schedule we have over here. So 5 beautiful games on our hands. The first one just had started, and we're going to be jumping into that gameplay. But before we do, we obviously got to look at that prize pool, and that prize pool is a breakdown of 2,000 Rand, first place going to fourth 1,400, and then second 600 Rand. So that's some interesting prize pool, but it's going to be quite difficult to have the champions or even the competitors in this final moment to actually win it. I mean, what would be the norm strategy in Battle Royale here for the new viewers, Proxy?
I mean, you've seen this time and time again where, some of the teams will be avoiding as many players as they can, just to stick into the long run. But again, it's Battle Royale at the end of the day, right? It's placements, it's kills. All of that counts towards you actually receiving that sort of a goal that you want. And of course, you would be getting as many points as you possibly can. Who wouldn't want to get as many points as they possibly can? So there is something to say for, staying a little bit more passive, making sure that you're a little bit safer to continue into the final rounds, get that victory royale, hopefully at the end of the day. But still, you just got to stay active. You got to make sure that you're the one picking the fights. You're the one engaging those fights and winning those fights at the end of the day. So hopefully we'll be seeing the teams doing exactly that. They'll be playing into their strategy. And yeah, I don't want to see anyone running away from fights today, but we might be seeing that still.
Definitely. Well, unfortunately, we're just going to have to go to a quick break because there is a technical starting game number one, and we'll be right back when that actually gets into the action. So don't go anywhere, viewers. Sorry about that, but we'll be back. There we go. And finally, game one is gonna start rolling out over here. We're on board with the champions from the previous week, week 16, on our boards over here. And yeah, and the season is also coming to an end completely. So we're going into a new whole chapter, and it's gonna be called the end for Chapter 2. That's literally also the Chapter 2's sort of final goodbyes to everything.
Yeah, it's weird how the timing actually worked out for this one, but it is going to be sad to see this be one of the last trio games that we're going to be watching. Although starting it off with the champions, from previous season, not too bad, not too bad. I am curious to see if it's going to be the same sort of a situation we saw in previous competitions, at least especially the last one we saw and we were casting. But we'll have to wait and see if the players are all on board for the same sorts of result, or if they're the ones that are going to be grabbing the victory royale this time around. Either way, I don't know. Do you think anyone is feeling up to the spirit to take the victory royale for themselves this time?
I don't know. I feel like, Bravado Neymar, really good competitive player in, Fortnite South Africa is one the most alongside Travis, but Travis and them had split a couple 4 weeks ago now, and since then we haven't seen a Neymar placing, right? Yeah, we haven't seen him on top of the charts, not even top 3 or whatever the case may be. But I feel like that sort of bad gameplay is sort of going to come to an end today. I don't know. That's just my sort of feel coming through with Neymar. I feel like he's going to come through with a comeback, and it could potentially happen in the final NiBBLE series of week 17.
Oh, it would be pretty spicy if we see that actually coming through, because I don't know, I in general, when you're watching esports, you don't want it to be the same people all the time, right? But there is something to be said for the champions that can hold that line, it can hold that consistency. We always talk about it in battle royales. If you are actually able to be like somewhat consistent as a battle royale team, then there's something special about you, right? There's something just a little bit special about you. So would be very keen to see it. I think the format in general also just allows us to, focus a little bit more on the insane individuals that we've got within the community, right? Because it's not your normal bread and butter when it comes to Fortnite. But when we take a look at it, there's some interesting teams that actually rise out of this one, and I don't know. I like how everyone just manages to give us a little bit of an interesting spice every time we see these trios come through. But I don't know. It's looking pretty good for the time being. Everyone's just trying to loot up. Need to be careful though. You're gonna be sniped from a little bit of a mountaintop there, but a good little bit of back and forth for the time being, just chipping away at those shields. Ooh, need to be careful though. I mean, if you're facing off, with the likes of these guys, you need to be very, very careful.
Definitely, but they've already sort of went with a split pure eye drop spot and lost to Travis to this trio that now seems to be engaging at full force. Will Rejects in the Cove be able to handle this what battle that is potentially going to come into action over here? He does manage to find himself, a couple heals as well as red peppers to get that double movement, speed, etc. And it does look like, the trio that the oppositions they're coming up against is quite close. So now it comes down to, do they have the materials at hand to take this battle? You can check the Cov come through with their vehicle to try get them out and disengage from here. This is really successful from them to try carry in those placement points. They need to go all the way around to try get onto Travis' reboot card and then try make the play to get him back into the map, because there's still 79 players remaining. Placement points is still up for grabs, as well as so many eliminations. And you and I know both, when it comes down to Battle Royale, eliminations and placements need to be balanced if you do want to find yourself winning the tournament over here.
Yeah, we've seen time and time again, some teams, they actually might be absolutely fantastic in picking up those eliminations, but then they fall short, towards the placements in the end, because they get themselves, maybe a little bit too active. They get themselves into a situation that unfortunately they're not able to recover. So hopefully we'll be seeing them change it up this time.
Definitely. Let's see exactly what goes into play going with them. Let's go jump on board with Neymar, a team we did mention that could potentially be taking the win in the sort of today. But it's not going to be an easy fight for them. Neymar having to split with Travis 4 weeks ago sort of put in a detrimental phase to his competitive. We did see him competing time and time in with Travis as well as Woke, winning a number of titles under their belt. But unfortunately, when Travis had been, sort of separated from the trio, they then brought in Skara. And I'll give you a little bit background about Skara. So Skara was at a time with Woke back in the days, one of the most fierce duos to play with, because his in-game fighting skills were ridiculous. He was just able to handle himself quite professionally in the game. But he came back to the competitive season of this time around after taking a huge break. I'm talking months without playing competitive Fortnite. And the trio Neymar, Woke, and Scorer came in. They played a couple weeks together and didn't get anything under their belt. Not a top 3, not a top 5, and it was just kind of questionable. Like, what happened? Why is such a huge trio, Bravado Woke, Bravado Neymar, and then Scorer not doing anything? And then recently, week 16, I think that the decision came into play. It's like, guys, we're not playing too well, and Scorer had separated from the trio. They are playing with a field today, Harmony. Harmony isn't really known to compete. He does play in qualifiers, etc., but we haven't really seen him in a competitive environment such as a finals that we have on our hands over here. So it could be interesting to see how the team do sort of work together now, going maybe their confidence is a lot more better. It's just hopeful dreams for them here in the 5 games that we have.
Yeah, roster shuffles are never easy to do. When you take a look at any sort of team, any sort of title, roster shuffles come through. It's a whole different dynamic you have to deal with, especially if you have to play with a full substitute coming into this week of week 17's FNZA series. It does pose a little bit of a question. It does pose a little bit of a challenge, but hopefully, they've done the work that they needed to off screen, off camera. They're here, they're ready for it, and I think it just comes down to communication at the end of the day. It doesn't matter who you're with, but if you guys can just come together, if you can work together, you can focus the right people, you can hopefully make sure that I saw my face there for a little bit in a second there. I saw my face there for a little second.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you can make sure that you're coming together, you're working together, focusing the right people, I think that also becomes true. I mean, we know, Fortnite gets absolutely crazy. It's one of the best games to watch, especially towards those final moments. But if you don't have those communications, if you're not target calling, if you're not getting the right people down when you should be and making sure that your back is covered, it goes to your detriment.
It definitely does. And I mean, let's see exactly how they get to compete and so forth. Another team sort of who hasn't gotten a first place was Reapsy. We have seen Reapsy in the past, competing second place, etc. And the roster change also came into play with them when Rejects had left, and then they picked up Tem, who is now a whole new trio as well. So Stem, Reapsy, and Swish, and they come into this tournament over here to compete, but they also for the past 3-4 weeks haven't had a first place or even a second place. So another team that could potentially, who is hunger driven to try get this wins over the next 5 games, is this team. We could potentially be seeing them going into the next round successfully, and I'm hoping something of that comes into play. The best position they did get was week 16 with a 3rd place position, but unfortunately we know that prize pool, and that's what they're fighting for.
Yeah, you need to make sure that you get into those top 2 spots if you want to have a share of that prize pool. And remember, it's 2,000 Rand that's up for grabs here, of course, with first place taking 1,400 Rand. So naturally, you want to be the team coming first place, but you need to make sure you're staying consistent with it. And we've seen time and time again before in previous weeks, we had those early leaders, and I think it was actually Travis and them that we were looking at that point. They started off the first game with an absolute bang. They were absolutely just getting all the points that they needed to. And we were definitely looking at them to, be the winners at the end. But then as the day progressed, they fell short a little bit, but then came back in those last 2 games again with the same energy that they started with, and absolutely just shot up right to the top. So it's possible at the end of the day. You've got 5 games to get as many points as possible. And we keep saying it, that consistency, coming back, making sure you're getting as much as you possibly can. And hey, look, if you're still not in a position that you think, look, even if I do, even if we get the most amount of points in this game, it's not going to matter. We're not going to get into the top 2. You could make it very difficult for someone else. And it looks like we might be seeing a little bit of a fight breaking out here. Oh, nice 35 break there onto the shields. And now just trying to build up and make sure that they're covered as they try to find everyone that's just running around. Flesh, beautiful through. Oh my goodness. Okay, it's just it's crucial. This is carnage.
A crucial moment, a carnage indeed. They managed to get themselves one elimination, and that is also Surge Tags, which at this rate we could potentially see, but with two players needing to be eliminated, let's see exactly what happens going into the further part of the zones, the end games that we have on our hands, because it's definitely going to be interesting. These guys are getting in some action, they're getting in some gameplay, but at the same time, a lot of the other players are playing so much more passive. We're going into the third zone very soon in 45 seconds, and that's when things start to get more interesting. Players need to stop making these rotations. Let's see exactly how that plays out. The Cov and them actually getting an elimination, so Travis, I wonder if they've actually managed to pull through the revive onto Travis, and they do so indeed, and they are getting these knocks and so forth. As you can see here, here comes the scan, and they get that 5 eliminations, which just left them, but they got so much more aggressive.
Oh, that is cheeky. Already picking up those 5 elims. And of course, they're still alive in this one. We've got 66 players left alive. With that zone coming through, that storm closing, rotations need to start happening, and everyone needs to start getting themselves into a little bit of safety here, but still a bit of time. I mean, they're literally just on the edge there, so should have no issue, especially with the cars coming through. I like this. I like the fact that they're staying active once again, and we've seen this before. They started with such an explosive performance coming through for the first game. I don't know how it's going to end up, with the second and third games, and as we go down those 5 games, if they're going to continue this sort of an energy. But so far, really, really good start for Travis and them. Let's see if they can continue it, Aro.
Yeah, let's see exactly if they can play that out. We've seen in the past how the gameplay sort of tied down towards the end, and the players get more passive in their position. And I just saw action happening right there. We're gonna go back to rejects just to see exactly what's happening, and you can see them just in a sort of Fast and Furious moment over here as they drive by, trying to get the action a lit over here. And it does look like this is a duo in the vehicle. There's no one sitting in the back part of the vehicle over there. A couple of shots coming out from a third party. They do get this one individual out and dusted off his vehicle, so no more car chase, but now a build battle, and there goes a chop down. But the player really good in what he's doing over here. Will he be able to sustain himself is the question. There's shots coming left, right, and center, and you can see just Travis and them getting their 6th elimination right over there. So this is looking really good for the champions coming into week 17. This mid game is so successful already for them, and I can only imagine with the confidence that they've gotten early game number 1, how can they go into the rest of the zones that is yet to be pulled.
Absolutely. I love the confidence. I love the play coming through. And yeah, the Fast and Furious moment, exactly what we want to see this time around. Now, just once again, they're doing so well with getting so many eliminations, and they're just constantly running. I mean, as soon as they get into zone, they find someone else, they just go for it. They just absolutely are beaming those eliminations as much as they possibly can. So, I mean, if they're picking up a fantastic placement point here as well, they're going to be starting with such a good foundation for the rest of the games that, again, that consistency comes through. It's going to be very interesting. And I mean, in terms of like setup, they're looking pretty good as well. I mean, they've got ample mats ready to go. I would be scared if I was running into Travis and them right now.
Definitely, I would be scared too. I mean, it doesn't look like they're taking a break, and maybe the reason why we're not even going to be seeing Storm Surge come through, trying to get a couple shots with players in the sky. It does tag up for 26, but most of them missing out. But he does have the ammunition. I mean, 479 to deal the damage over there. And I think these guys are probably wanting to top the record they have here in the NiBBLE bi-weekly series, because like I mentioned last week, 160 points. This week, how much more can they just top their gameplay? We're gonna have to wait and find out.
Well, you can see they're hungry for these kills, absolutely just going for it, no hesitation whatsoever. Ooh, and tuning into a few other teams, we can see still plenty of action going down at this moment in time. Everyone is looking for as many points as they possibly can to just help them out a little bit later on, because you can't control everything. Sometimes, unfortunately, RNG is going to come through. But for all that we can do now is just absolutely beam. A nice 32 there onto the shields. Hasn't cracked it quite yet, but I don't know. This team here towards the bottom side, it looks like they're struggling a little bit. They're not quite building the mats that they need to. And, just trying to group up and get back together to take this fight on properly. But if we look at it,
Ooh,
oh,
the beams.
what can you do at aim like that? What can you do with that?
Really, at this point, when you're not even building or getting cover, you are gonna get beamed, and especially when you have an org in hand, and you can just see exactly how he utilizes the weapon. But 61 players remain, and we're just about to get into that fourth zone. They find themselves in a really good position. A little tip to the viewers, if you guys don't really know this, but from third to fourth zone, if you are center, you always sort of 100% guarantee the next zone rotation. And from there on outwards, it's just plain out RNG. So you're not sure whether you'll pull a fifth zone or even the first movings and so forth. But for now, Reepsy and he seem to be in a perfect position going forward, and we go jump on board with Neymar and them, as they also in a quite a decent positioning. But 0 eliminations, and we understand the implications of balancing those placements and elimination points that we have on our hands.
Yeah, at this point, if you're still stressing about just trying to grab as many eliminations as possible towards these final parts of the zone, it adds a lot of stress to you as a team, as a player, because not only do you, need to make sure that you're not the first team to be caught out, and taken out, but now you also need to be hunting for kill points because everyone else at this point have already laid themselves a foundation. If we turn our attention, to Travis and them, they've already got 6 kill points going into, these final zones. They've already set themselves up. Now they just need to focus on basically staying alive and securing that victory RL. It's a lot less stressful. I mean, they can focus on smaller goals at this point in time. And I mean, for a team like them, I guess it's not as important, but for other teams, it really becomes crucial if you can just sort of bite down, the giant challenge you have in front of you into smaller pieces. And that definitely does help out when we look at it. I mean, maths wise, they're looking pretty good, right in zone. So not too stressful for them. It's just going to end up, coming down to how those final battles are going to be going. Because again, you mentioned you can't always be certain about where that zone, that storm is going to be pulling as well. So hopefully for their sake, they should be pretty sorted. But if they're not, it's a little bit of a hill to climb.
It is definitely, and I rarely see this game number one being quite a stack of moving zones. I mean, we're looking at 59 players being alive right now. Genie FPS picking up another elimination, so this team is sorted in terms of that storm surge. We see the storm surge sort of warn everyone alive right over here, and we do see 734 damage above. So they've just been active. They've been dealing the damage across over here, and Luka Rakic doesn't seem to be quitting just yet, as there's so many more players in their POV where a little bit of toes are being present over here. Let's see exactly what happens.
Now be careful. I mean, with shots like that, you don't want to be lining up with them.
You definitely don't. Let's go over to the multiple POVs that we have just to see if any of these teams are sort of struggling with some storm surge. I mean, 68 damage above is already quite difficult to maintain over here. So we do see the team Paxies, Killamod, and Central. They're very low on HP. I mean, if you look at Killamod himself, he's on literally a smither of HP. So if he gets tagged up in these positions, he will be in a tough one. Let's stay on board here as we do witness that surge activate in a moment now, and potentially we'll see that 68 damage not be enough for the gameplay over here. They're getting heavily focused. I wonder how they can survive this one. Mats are burning a lot over here.
You're just burning through those mats in this sort of situation, and you need to be worried about storm surge. I mean, come on. That is not a situation you want to be finding yourself in. But, I mean, 139 above, 87 above. Oh, we got to be careful here.
It's definitely playing around that area, but as the players drop down, it does look like that damage is going up, even though they're not paying attention to the oppositions. They do got a sort of short rotation into the next zone, and I do see them doing it successfully. I mean, if they could survive that hailstorm of ammunition, then they can make the next sort of rotation that they have on their hands here. Let's see exactly what happens. But being in this position, they've used so much utilities, so much heals to just survive this position that they find themselves in. I wonder what the moving zones are going to be like for this team.
You mentioned it earlier. I mean, they're
Oh,
burning through mats just to make sure they're staying alive. But that zone is going to be pulling. Needs to be careful here. But a few teams just shoulder to shoulder in this scenario now. Everyone is wanting to be heading into the safety of that Storm Eye. So, need to be careful. There's shots flying left, right, and center. But for the time being, they are somewhat making their way into the safety of that Storm Eye. Again, just look at this. I mean, Ira, they are surrounded every single way they're turning. And unfortunately, those shots are starting to connect as control does go down. At least a quick rest should be happening here if those mats can survive the onslaught as quickly as
oh,
they are putting them down. They're
oh,
being
no.
taken down, and there's the elimination. Unfortunately, not making that rotation as we would hope they were able to do. I mean, yes, it was a short, path, but that short
Yeah.
path is littered with bullets.
It is indeed. I mean, yeah, at this point where they come through with their gameplay, that short sort of rotation was just very much hard. Like you mentioned, shoulder to shoulder, these teams find themselves in. Here comes a short launch from Inferno, Marcy, and Hershey. HD has to make the rotations in the sky. It does look like that first moving is going to be interesting for this team as they only have 25 below. They're going to need to deal some sort of damage, whether it is a pump, an AR, a pickaxe. They need it right now, or else in a moment of 30 seconds, this team is going to be using their utilities as well as everything they have in their back pocket to stay alive. And let's see exactly what happens right
Ooh.
now.
That storm surge 15 below the point they need to be at the moment. And as you mentioned, they're just trying to stay alive right now. A little bit of damage coming through as we look at it, but still 37 players alive in this one. Still plenty of opportunities for this to go either way at the moment. And that storm surge is going to be starting soon. So,
Yeah,
I mean, for some of the players here, if you're not worrying about rotations, you have to worry about Storm Surge. And we've seen how many times that Storm Surge has really made such a difference for that final zone. And here the run starts. Hopefully, they'll be able to find themselves a little bit of safety here because they're literally just bobbing and weaving between the bullets that are being tossed at them every single second.
it is crazy that they somehow just make that rotation without getting eliminated. And we go on board with the champions week 16. However, rejects being out the picture. Travis and the Cove, originally duos as well. So they opt to work through with the chemistry that they have together to try grab in as much eliminations as well as staying alive to the brim to grab those placement points. 26 players remaining. Players on heights. He tries to hop on one, but it doesn't connect and he gets tagged up and he doesn't have any blue heals or shields. As you can do see, Travis drop down in, but I want to go jump on board with Neymar just to see exactly what is happening over there, how things are looking like, and it is them on height. Neymar, Woke, and Harmony doing the most.
Oh, they can smell blood at this point. We were talking about it. They needed some eliminations, and now you can see they're definitely doing their best to make sure they're picking up those points as much as they possibly can. That number of players left alive is slowly, well, actually, no, not slowly. It is dwindling fast.
It
Everyone is going
is.
down at this point. Everyone is suffering from these bullets being flown down from the sky. And here for Neymar and them, they've got such a beautiful position, right? They're not really challenged at all. They can jump down. They can engage in a battle when they feel like it. It's all on their
Exactly.
terms at this moment in time. And that's the work that we've talked about. Making sure you're in that rotation, making sure you've got the better angle. You're just setting yourself up for a victory royale potentially, but we'll see how it looks. I think for Travis and them, they do need to be careful. I mean, yes, the nice thing about a duo is it's a little bit easier to communicate because it's less people, but you
Yeah.
don't have as much firepower as the rest. And these mats are just being burned through. Awkward time there with the reload, but the mat comes through just in time. It's turning it around, and here comes the storm to make sure things are just so much harder. Neighbor and them,
Well,
they are just chasing down players.
they are indeed, but they put themselves in such a weird position, dropping down potentially at the wrong moment over there. And, now losing one of their players and they're down to a duo. He sees a player that he wants, and the pre-fire comes in. Neymar has no time to react. Woke is looking quite low on HP himself. He's down to a little smither of HP, and you can see him trying to grasp on to what he has left over here. 370 mats. He can still make these final rotations and potentially potentially pull in a second or even third place position. We don't know how many solos and duos are alive in this one, but for the most time being, Woke is doing exactly that and sticking to the rotations. Player drops down low, but he gets into the zone. He finds himself in a tough one, and we do jump himself on a board with a anonymous player. He gets the pump, he gets the win. We're gonna have to wait and find out who won that game, but Woke and Neymar just did quite well over there.
Absolutely. I mean, it was looking crazy there towards that final time. I mean, I don't even know when they had the time to pick up, the eliminations that they did, but they made it work. They made it work. So, I mean, it's going to be interesting. I think also, where did Travis and them end up? Did they actually make it as a duo?
Yeah, well, we're gonna have to wait and see. All these questions to be answered for the viewers, but a name on them really showing a different type of gameplay, and it sort of needs to happen, right? At some certain point of view, a champion like himself is gonna feel exhausted of not being at the top. So we finally get to see that gameplay sort of shift from week 16 to week 17, and we've seen a much better performance coming out from that team. But we'll be right back after the short break to look at that leaderboard, to look at who, what, and how has happened. I didn't make sense, but it makes sense for me. But see you guys in just a bit. Oh, nope, sorry. This thing is confusing. And there we go.
What we do here is go back.
gameplay, guys, where we'll be looking at the leaderboard in just a bit. But overall, this NiBBLE bi-weekly series is showing up to the party. We are definitely seeing some of the gameplay alight for us over here, Proxy. I mean, your general thoughts going into game number 1?
Look, I had questions whether or not, Travis and them are going to be picking up, another explosive game. They had a little bit of troubles. I think Travis went down initially, then we had Rejects going down as well, but they seem to be doing well trying to manage the situation. We obviously lost track of them in that final zone, so I'm not sure where they ended up. We're going to be curious to see what that leaderboard's going to be looking like. But also, I mean, just absolute shout out to Neymar on them. They were in a pretty rough situation. I generally didn't think that they were going to be able to pick up those eliminations towards the end, because you're in that awkward spot. You have to make the rotation in. Then they fell down again off of that beautiful high rise that they had. And I don't know. I was worried, but they were making it work, at least from what we could see. And then, unfortunately, those pre-fire pumps coming through, they were nasty. But
Nasty.
we'll have to take a look at the leaderboard and see how it ended up.
Well, talking about leaderboard, let's go over to that right now and look at that over there. So we can actually see the players come through, and there we go. So Swizzy, Marcy, and them actually managed to win the game, which was very interesting. But however, Swizzy's in first place. Second is gonna be Inferno, Marcy, and Hersey HD, which we saw them in a tough position. They didn't have the Storm Surge, but somehow they made it all the way to the final end with 31 points. That is a pretty crazy. And then Punishers XFA, which is Ginger, Jamie, and Nightclo, they come in third with 30. Now, this team has been so consistent. In week 14, they came first. Week 15, they came second. Week 16, they came fifth. Well, now week 17, they find themselves in the third place position. Mullet Daddy with his Travis the Cub and Rejects actually in fourth place with 23 points. Aviantic XFA, which is Meg Vogue and Dan1X in fifth with 18. But Neymar going to the very end and not picking up that much eliminations. We do see them only on 18 points, and then not far behind is actually going to be Retail Boy, which is Motion Slain, and Vagrant with 17th and 8th. Is going to be Heater with 16th and 9th. Going to be Reepsy and then with 15th, and then 10th place is going to be Bang Bros, which is Divs, Rakic, and Genie. So that is going to be the overall leaderboard going into the tournament over there. So very interesting in terms of how that's being played. But let's go see exactly the gameplay. Game number 2. And now we're on board with Glubs in them. So Glubs is, by the way, if you guys are in the NiBBLE, you guys are allowed to start streaming your finals. We're doing a little bit of an experiment for the final of NiBBLE series over here. So doing a little bit of an experiment over there, and Glubs is on his YouTube, but we do see them dropping in over here at the Dirty Docks, and a good interesting spot to actually land at.
Ooh, I like this. I like this a lot. So if we take a look at it, right, it's actually interesting how that leaderboard did end up. I mean, with Neymar and them ending up there in that 6th spot, I thought they would have, been a little bit higher. But I mean, for Travis and them ending up in 4th, even with that duo towards the end, making it work. But Swizzy coming through that victory RL, and I mean, the kill points alone, that's beautiful to see. Again, we were asking that question, cool, is Travis and them going to come through again? Is it going to be the same repeats of, the last time we were casting together, which was, by the way, week 13. That was a while ago. That was, I didn't think it was that long ago. And then I took a look at that schedule and I was like, wow, okay, that's literally the last time we were actually able to cast together. That's insane, firstly. Secondly, if we take a look at it, there it was that pattern of cool. They started off fantastically, super explosive, which ironically, they were very similar to how Swizzy and them did this game. They had a beautiful placement, they had beautiful kills, and then they fell off, and they came back at least towards the end, but they were staying consistent to, make sure that last game that they really performed was enough to get them through to that first place. So I'm going to be interested to see if it's going to be new champions this time around, because we love it. If it's new champions, it means that the scene is growing. It means the scene is staying competitive, which we need. The more competitive the scene is, the better people are going to get.
Yeah, definitely. When that skill gap sort of increases, does also give hopes to the new players sort of coming in, because realistically, Swizzy being on a full time grind, it has been potentially maybe 5-6 weeks and so forth. But 5-6 weeks of the grind of the come up is gonna be definitely worth it, because if you're coming in first now, then people start to talk about you, and it gives you an aura, it gives you a sort of energy going into the next tournament, and there's going to be somewhat consistency going across the playing field. So if a team like Swizzy comes in first, and the team Marcy, Infernal, and Hersey, in which we changed the POV from them to the champions of Extinct, because we thought, or I thought, it was done for them. Their rotations looked so scuffed. They had no damage dealt. The Storm Surge looked like it was going to get to them at a certain point of view as well, but they win the game and get 31 points.
I mean, it's battle royale at the end of the day, right? So if RNG goes your way, anything is absolutely possible. We've seen it time and time again in all battle royale titles. But I mean, taking a look at the team that we're actually spectating now with Glubs and them, they are currently sitting in 11th place with 9 points. All right, with the top place sitting at 33. So that's quite a gap that they need to catch up on. They do still have those 4 games to do so in. And I mean, similar for any of the other teams that are sitting, towards the latter part of those leaderboards, they have an opportunity here to start really grinding up some points. But that means that they need to do their best, because just as they are trying to pick up points, the leaders are doing the exact same. And if your leaders are staying consistent, then I don't know how you're going to catch up unless you take them out early on, which, if you want to be picking a fight, with like Swizzy and them or Travis and them to try and take them out early on, woo, 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 woo.
Yeah,
It's difficult because we've got some serious contenders here.
it is difficult indeed. And if we go jump on board with that gameplay right now, we do see, like you mentioned, you're trying to contest the likes of Travis the Cub, you will find yourself getting eliminated. I mean, look at the kill count that they have already. 3 kills off spawn. So they happy. They setting in a huge amount of points. And it was unfortunate that their rotations just didn't go in their favor last time around. But if I look at it and I go into the kill count and the placements and so forth, we can actually have a look at that right now and see exactly what they pulled in and what was the likes. So they came 7th place with 12 eliminations.
Yo. So I mean, that was one of the teams I was mentioning. You find teams that are exceptionally good at getting those eliminations. They're just a team that you don't want to fight. You don't want to be fighting them unless, hopefully, you're the team third partying or fourth partying, because otherwise you will be handed something you can't deal with. So if a team
Mm,
like Travis and them actually continue picking up those kind of kills, which it's looking to be that way because they've already started off with those nice 3 eliminations, and they
yeah.
start getting placements as well, then it doesn't matter if you, as a team that's lower on the leaderboard, are also trying to stay consistent. If you're not picking up either more points than they are, or at least sticking as close as possible to them on the same sort of foot, you're not going to be catching up. And that's the beauty of battle royale. It's these 5 games of torment. Is your team going to be able to catch up? Are they going to be able to do it? Are they going to be able to get enough points? What is the other team's going to be doing? It's
Yeah.
all RNG at the end of the day as well. So, whew, it's
Especially
stressful.
this early on, right? A team like, or maybe instance Travis could land on a pump, and then your opposition is landing on a pistol. You don't want to put yourself into a 50-50 position where now you're
Mm.
reliant on the game to sort of give you the RNG, to give you the loadout, to give you the pump instead of the pistol. And when those situations do arise, it's just, it's tough, because it's not coming down to skill in a sense. It's coming down to who has the best luck off spawn, and that's why we lose 6 players off spawn already. 6 players generally contesting another team, just finding themselves very much unlucky. But it also comes down somewhat to how you're dropping in the map. I mean, if you're landing Catty every single game, every single tournament, that is your home. You know when to jump out the battle bus, you know when to dive in, when to pull out your glider, and so forth. So for Travis to cover them, they're going into an RNG situation with a lot more luck on their side because of how they changed how they played things off. And looking at this situation, we may potentially be looking
Ooh.
at maybe Glubs on that rotation over there, because Dirty Dogs is just on the outside and it does not look good. The hunt is on, the beam has been already displayed, and let's see exactly how this team can sort of handle the situations they find themselves in now.
More potential Fast and Furious moments here as Travis and they were just trying to hunt down these players that are trying to get out of the situation. They do not want to be taking Travis and them on at this moment in time. You can see they're still running away. They might not be prepped for this. They might not have the resources for this one. So they're just trying to get out of this situation. But the shots are connecting, coming through here with those 26-piece shields. And at this point in time, everyone's just suffering for it. So, I mean, a little bit of a jump there that they can use already and not coming through. And now Travis and them all of a sudden on the recovery will be able to get the elim at least and should be able to get that banner back and the respawn card. Sorry, my brain just broke for a little bit there. Come back into this one and potentially continue that fight. But the remainder of those two players have managed to actually get away. Are they actually chasing this? No way. No way. You need to be careful. No shields, Iroh. They got that
no shields. They definitely getting beamed in the sky. And a little bit of a error coming out from Rejects, because if you saw him trying to edit that wall, if he did it sooner, get the pumps on board, Travis could still be in this game. They could have revived him instead of getting the reboot card. So Rejects. But, however, it could potentially be due to the recent incident and accident IRL. He actually fell off his motorcycle and injured his fingers. So he's playing at a disadvantage, but he's still somehow so elegant and so good at the game.
Oh, I mean, if you can play like that while you're injured as well, yeah. I have all my fingers intact and I can't play like this. This is not fair.
Yeah, it is generally not fair, but that's what you're gonna get coming out from the best players we have in South Africa. Goliath, Rejects showing up to the party, but now we're on board with Fnatic, Kratos, Rapid, and Worry, who potentially is underrated dogs coming into the tournament. Haven't had a boost of points game number 1, but not to worry, like his name says, he can potentially pull through things coming into game number 2. Rotations seem to be quite at a distance, especially here for DeCover and Travis, because they need to rotate all the way from Dirty Dogs to Pleasant Park, which is absolutely at halfway across the map for them. And it's just not going to be an easy rotation. Their team here trying to find a position where they can sort of base up and put themselves onto the map. But very early here, putting them a base sort of for them. And that could be vulnerability if a team like Neymar and them comes through and make the rotations in this pathway. Because then they start to question like, hey man, why is this team boxed up so early?
Well, I can tell you a little bit why they boxed up so early. I mean, we're looking at, the likes of Fnatic, Worry, and them. They're sitting in 17th place at this moment in time. They're with 4 points. So, I mean, not the best first game for them. They want to be able to pick up as much as they possibly can. And like you mentioned, that comes through from the control that you need to try and put in place. You can't control what the game is going to do to you, but you can at least control how you're going to be reacting to it. So setting themselves up nice and early, making sure that they are covered. They don't want to be going down anytime soon, and they want to make sure that they have a little bit of escapability if the fight should break out, because this is crucial for them, right? We mentioned it. If you're finding yourself at the bottom of that leaderboard, you want to make sure this game goes as well as it possibly can for you. So yes, there's something to say about, being active, looking for kills, but there's also something to stay for just staying alive, just making sure you're getting to that end game, because in that end game with the chaos that happens, the third parties, the fourth parties, everyone's on top of each other, you can easily start stealing some kills in the absolute chaos of it all. So that's probably maybe what they're hoping for here, just trying to stay in this one. They are going to be surrounded though. You can see some shots coming through as well. So I am hoping for them that they can pick it up. I love an underdog story.
Yeah, an underdog story is sort of in script as it stands, right? Because we did see them on 89 damage when the warning of Storm Surge displayed on screen, but now they're on 179, so they know exactly what is needed from them in order to progress into the further parts of the zone. 74 players remaining, and this is even more stacked than game number one. Usually the case, it gets more active, but somehow we are seeing a passive aggressive gameplay going into play. Let's go jump on board with Luka Rakic and see exactly what is happening over there, how things are looking out for them. They seem to be fine. They sorted 380 damage above. They're on the outskirts, rotating, getting a bit targeted over here, building, and Proxy, there was a conversation I had the other day just after the Mzansi. I know this is a totally different topic, but you know how in PUBG vehicles are like crucial, nobody really blows them up on rotation?
Mhm.
Fortnite is a different story. If there's a vehicle being rotated, it's let's damage this vehicle, let's put all our ammunition into it. They're not allowed to rotate. And that's where I feel like we're still in a maturing stage for Fortnite, because PUBG has been out there for so long, much longer than Fortnite has, and you know the likes of vehicle rotations and everything. But here in Fortnite, if you're in a vehicle, you're not allowed to rotate apparently.
Well, oddly enough, we have seen plenty of issues coming through with vehicles. The difference is, with PUBG, if you jump out of a moving vehicle, you're also dead. So
Yeah,
at this point, the vehicles are killing their drivers more than the other players are killing the players. So it doesn't matter. Vehicles are a little bit of a risk of their own in PUBG, whereas here it's a little bit more it's more of an advantage than anything for a team. So I
yeah,
kind of like that. I
exactly.
like that, teams are immediately making that a disadvantage. You're in a walking bomb. You're in a
True.
moving bomb at this point in time, which for any team, oh yes, please give me a vehicle. I will explode it any day of the week. That means free kills for me. Absolutely.
Mm,
So
mm.
that's just the difference in the games, which is why we love these different titles, right? It's why they come through at the end of the day. So yeah, it's keen. I love to see it happen. I do think it's good. If you can contain your enemies, like we can see that's happening here, they're just going to keep them in the water. What are they going to do? They can't get into zone. Now
They
what you
can't
supposed to do?
indeed. And look at a Gyro's team. They had the ability to cover up, but instead just let him drown in the ocean. And we do potentially see Kilomod, Control, and Zaxxis push this one, but they're pushing this one into the zone, and that's gonna be a 2 ticker if I'm not mistaken coming into play. And with no white heals at hand, they're just gonna find themselves in a weird one, as well
Ooh,
as the
ooh, ooh.
third parties getting involved over there. So look, 2 ticker, look at that. He has what is it, 50 seconds to get into the zone over here, and once this zone closes, it's a 5 ticker. So they a ticking time bomb right now, and you can see exactly that happening. Down to 28 HP. He wants to take a big pot, but he doesn't have any white heals to carry himself in the HP.
Oh no,
5
no,
and
no.
he's dead.
6, 4, 2,
Yeah,
1. I
gone and
don't know
dusted.
what the plan was there. I don't know if they were just hoping they could take out the team as soon as possible. Maybe hope that they have white heals, to carry themselves through this one. But as you mentioned, as soon as that storm closes, that's a 5-6. They're still leading into zone. They're still fighting another team. So there is no moment to breathe at this moment in time. Another knock coming through. Killamod's still in this one as well. But my goodness, it is only Killamod. And I mean, with the first game, they were, in 18th place. Now going out at this point, I don't think it's the points they would have wanted, but
Oh,
unfortunately, it's just what they're going to have to deal with. Tuning back into Neymar on them, they also
yeah,
didn't have the best end result necessarily. I mean, they did pretty good if you look
yeah,
at it
they
in 6th place, and considering the difficult spot that they had to go with. Now looking at them this time around, they're looking pretty good. They're looking like they have a good set path to the center of the storm. So this
mm,
might be a
mm.
different story for Neymar on them.
Definitely. I mean, if we look at their results, right? 5th place. Just how many solos were alive when there were 6 players remaining over there? Because they came out in 5th and only grabbed 5 eliminations. So that is why we see them go to the very end of the map. But with so many players staying alive, they find themselves in that sixth place position. Let's see exactly how they can control, this game going into the next one, hoping that they could potentially walk out over here with a little bit of a placement. But look at that, they just take on a player over there who's trying to get in the defense, build up a little bit of a base, but a little bit of a window for them. And the triple spam means you're gonna get targeted and potentially wiped out over here. So a good refresh for the team as well, as the match drop down, the chug splashes and everything. So very unfortunate for the solo player who hope to live on to clutch up some placement points, but unfortunately they come to an end for game number 2.
Only game 2, Iron. We've had so much action at this point in time. I mean, maybe a few questionable strategies, but we've definitely had every single team try their best to be active, and maybe a little bit too active, turning our attention here. I mean, just stay alive is the goal at this point in time. Turning into Resin and them coming through and trying to hold on to what they have. Still all 3 players alive, so thankfully they have a little bit of time as well just to get those pots popped and get into safety. My goodness. Literally just looking around them, they have to be so careful. They're still taking so much damage, and they need to be worried about their mats. Look at their mats, Aro. Need to be careful here.
Yeah, definitely need to be careful. I mean, going down to already what it seems to be like 600, 700 mats at hand in endgame. Oh Lord, they're gonna need everything they need and gunpowder to try get the refreshes. He tries to get the harpoon and no, he misses not once but twice, and he does get the harpoon, but it doesn't go in his favor as everyone turns their POV over to Shrimples, Ryzen, and Cougar Fix, and now it's down to Ryzen. And if you look at Ryzen's HP, if anyone finds him, he is dead. Even if that next zone rotation comes into play, he's gonna find himself being quite low. We hear that Storm Surge coming in quite close to other players as well, because it's been active for a while, so a lot of these guys are struggling in terms of the HP that is present. But let's see exactly what Ryzen can do. He is getting in an early rotation for himself. But then I say that, and Bile is just there to absolutely trigger his ammunition onto him and get him out of there. And, action is alive today.
You just had to throw the caster's curse, didn't you?
Had to.
You just had to do it. I was about to say, for Ryzen and them, they're sitting at 24th. They could really use the points. They don't have any just yet, and this was looking really good for them. But no, it's fine. Irish just here to cast his curse. All of our players today, but it's okay.
It's okay.
We forgive you.
Did you see Travis Storm Surge damage? I mean, he had 2,100 as a team together.
What?
They just dealing the damage across the entire map over here, and we do see them with 7, could be potentially 7+ eliminations, because Fortnite likes to glitch out when it loves to, but they are active. They're not stopping, and they just want to go in with an absolute bang. And I like how, game 1, they had Travis being eliminated. They got him up. Game 2, same scenario. They know how to play the game. They know how to bring their team back into the fight.
I absolutely love it. Nice and coordinated coming through here. And if you're turning our attention to all of the players that are still in this one, 45 of them still alive, looking for that final victory royale. This is a little bit of a fun one, because that storm pool, it's going to be a little bit awkward for some of the teams if they're not ready to move on quick. Yeah. I mean, if you don't have those pads, you just need to try and build yourself into a tunnel of safety. But again, we've seen that happen for many of the teams, and it just doesn't work out, especially looking at these mats available. Iro, it's painful. You just have to run now. You don't have an opportunity to give yourself a little bit of cover here. Thankfully, there's existing builds that you can try and work out, but you're going to be running into people at some point or another, and you might be getting a pump, but that doesn't mean that anyone else isn't looking for the same onto you, going down in 16th. Oh, that
It
hurts.
is so unfortunate for the team over there, but jumping on board with Swish, Reapsy, and Attempt going into the end game over here. 2 eliminations and 25 players remaining. We do again apologize for the quality that we get out of this one, guys, but this is the best we can deal with a Discord. And the team looking very much happy in terms of their rotations. They still have a launch pad to use. They have a gold scar, a blue pump as well. So this team could potentially be on that rotation to sort of try secure a victory or even a second, third place with a huge amount of kills. I mean, if this team does claim height, which they are trying to get in that damage, but they must also focus on themselves, on their area that they find in, because they just almost got boxed, and that was Swish, who would have found himself in a tough position of play.
Oh, you can say that again. Looking at it, I mean, we've immediately dwindled down to only a handful of players coming through in these final moments of the storm, and everyone trying to move into the eye of the storm, get into safety as much as they possibly can. I mean, for some of the teams, like Reapsy and them, like Travis, who have picked up significant points in the first game, coming through into this one, this is just bonus at this point, especially with so many of the teams unfortunately dropping out before they could really make an impact. I don't know. This is going to be an interesting one with those jump pads coming through. They will be able to get into a better position. Need to be careful though, because of course, Bullet's going to be flying left, right, and center, making sure we're getting the pumps down. 30 shields, we go. Now just looking for those final few shots to get those eliminations into the bag.
Yeah.
This is going to be a tough one.
It is, but they're on height, and we know what that means. With so many mats at hand, they can just deal with the damage and not put themselves in a tough position. For NiBBLE last time around, it was just that they had no mats to continue the high play. Dropped in at a what would be an arguably the wrong decision timing for them, because they found themselves in a tough position.
Woo!
But we find C, which is Swish, who's absolutely beaming these players, getting in those damages, and you just love to see it. Once they tag the players, they can also hope for the zone to do the rest of the job over here for Swish, Tam, and Reapsy. This is a story for them as well, because we mentioned the 3-4 weeks that they've been competing, they haven't had their time in the NiBBLE bi-weekly series, but now they can with the consistency in gameplay. They get the eliminations, and they're just ranking in those points. 11 players remaining, so the placement points is valid as well. The eliminations is counting up, and let's see exactly what the team can do.
Oh, coming into this one, wanting to get as many eliminations as absolutely possible, because we've seen that becomes truly important. My goodness gracious, I can't even keep up the action at this point in time. That storm is closing quickly, and they need to try to get themselves a good pathing into this one. Only 4 players left alive, and it looks like they're finding the last one. A beautiful pump coming through for 112. Those final little bits of damage coming through, knocking down Anonymous. And we are looking at such a beautiful game coming through into this one.
Oh, what a pop-off from Swish, grabbing not 1 but 2, 3 eliminations. He's absolutely on fire. He finds the last player over here, but will he get it in time? No, he doesn't. On a smith of HP, he does not get the victory royale, but it doesn't matter because the eliminations count. They are happy with that one, but how does he not win that game over there? It was so important for him to sort of come through with a clutch of play, and he just did not bring it in his favor. Very unfortunate.
And that's what you're gonna take it down to, just unfortunate.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I don't know.
Unlucky.
Unlucky. He hit the guy for 71 HP. But unfortunately, it came down to the one-on-one situation. Swish had his pump out. He did shoot, but he was a millisecond too slow. And that didn't get them the win. But I still feel they somehow grabbed the most points in that one. I don't know. We will have to wait and see. But that game was amazing.
Oh, that was absolutely incredible. I feel like everyone was just popping off there towards that final moment. I mean, unfortunately we couldn't see who that final shot came through from, but they definitely hit the right number at the right second, literally coming down to that final second shot. But beautiful work either way. Going to be keen to see who it was. Going to be keen to see how that leaderboard is going to shake up this time around, because again, I feel like we're seeing a very different set of top fives coming through, Iro, and I am very curious to see what that leaderboard is going to reflect.
Well, we're going to be looking at that leaderboard at the end of the break, so make sure you guys don't go anywhere. And remember to leave a like, hit subscribe, and turn on post notifications, because why not? Let's just go straight into the break, and we'll see you guys in just a bit.
What we do here is go back.
That here is going to be interesting. So going forward, we're going to be seeing some of the gameplays, and it's been an interesting game 1 and 2 as a whole. And like Proxy, you're talking about like how these situations are escalating game in and out.
Yeah, so we were taking a look at the leaderboard thereafter, and we were like, cool, let's see how that changed. We did get confirmation, of course, who that final shot came through, which we can take a look at the leaderboard. So the Carve, I mean, absolutely mad lad coming through with that clutch there in the final moments. And I don't know, Fortnite being Fortnite, the shot was there at our screen, but it wasn't the case in the server, so it's unfortunate. But what is fantastic here for Travis, Decave, and Reject is they literally catapulted themselves up into first place now with 62 points. Breaking it down, Susie still in 53, Punisher still in 48. And then we start breaking it down even further. I mean, Reapsy and them ended up in fourth place there with 47 points. And how we were talking about it exploding inside and outside of the game itself is because, of course, this sort of a knock for many of the players going down and literally being catapulted down the leaderboard does give you a little bit of a confidence knock moving into the next game. And now we're at that halfway point. This is now where we start talking about the pivots. If it's going to be pivoting to Travis and them, or your top 5 permanently, or is someone else going to be joining that party? I mean, name on them, they're down to 7th place now. Only 1 spot difference from where they were. But of course, I can bet you they were hoping that game was where they were going to be catching up those points. But unfortunately, I mean, 39 points for Travis and them. 39, Iro. And Reapsy picked up 32?
It's really, really a tough position to find yourself in right over here. I mean, we can only imagine what that's going to be looking like going into game number 3. Whether or not they can even catch up is the question. I mean, realistically, it's 5 games. You win 3 out of the 5. You do well. 3 out of the 5, you can, sort of catch up. But 28 to 62, that's where things start to get a bit dramatic. Unless we do find Travis and them in a very much uncomfortable position where they dive spawn, then we can say, okay, the leaderboard can change, things can change for them. But unfortunately, that's not the case. If we've seen Travis and them dominate their off-spawn situations and just make it through into the end games and so forth. So it's very hard to say who's going to be walking out in second place. But for now, I feel like it's going to be a hard going into game number 2. It's going to be an interesting aspect over here. So let's go and jump on board with the gameplay over there, and we see exactly what that is looking like for these guys over here. And there we go. So they are contested heavily here, Proxy. Let's see what happens.
Ooh, okay. So this is what we were talking about. If Travis and them actually do end up in an awkward situation and they get taken out early on, that gives everyone else in the lobby here an opportunity to catch up to them. And of course, the same can go for Swizzy. If they go out early on, that gives everyone else opportunity to catch up into that second spot. But we're just gonna be, we're just gonna do that. Okay.
Yeah, casually just
Casually,
eliminating everyone.
just done, you dastard. Like what is a couple of eliminations with a pistol? I mean, really. Um,
Yeah.
okay, let's break it down though. If they do go out early, as you mentioned, the first and second spot, Travis, Suzy, those two teams. If they go
Mm,
out early on, that means that everyone down from third place up until I could maybe say seventh place with a name on them sitting at 28 have an opportunity to run away and potentially start taking their spot, or at least get close enough so that coming through in the fourth game they really have a big chance to do so. And this is what we keep saying about that consistency. If you make sure that you've got a solid foundation coming through into those final games where you really want to be popping off, maybe you're saving your strats, maybe you're saving or just getting warmed up, then great. That means you shoot yourself up into the top of that leaderboard, but you have to make sure you get into either first or second place if you want a share of that prize pool, which is what everyone's playing for, right? They want the
mm.
bragging rights, but they also want the kaching in the back pockets. So hopefully we would be seeing something like that happen. But I mean, already the first altercation going down for Travis and them, and they've got some eliminations on in their back pockets. So
At
this
this
is
point,
not going to be easy.
the team that's consistently contesting them since game number one is 3 points. I have to admit it. It has to be some 3 points coming in for rejects in them, because there's just no competition when landing at your home, invading the home over there, when they know where the guns spawn, they know how to jump in. I can repeat this 1,000 times, but yeah, Travis and them are picking up those two eliminations of spawn, and it's helping them so much in terms of grabbing those points that we don't generally get to see with other teams like Neymar. If you go jump on board with Neymar, they off spawn quite happily and looting up undisturbed. And you can see this over here. Here at Misty, very much uncontested. They just living life at living a residence. Nobody really contesting them for this.
Oh, let's take a look at it. So, I mean, still plenty of players left alive into this one as we move over to Misty Meadows, taking a look at everyone just trying to get their loot up and get themselves set for these final zones to come through, of course. And, that was a big issue we saw in the previous game is players were just running out of mats, left, right, and center. Unfortunately, just, having to deal out and dish out so many structures to try and make sure that you're still alive just to
Mm,
get into the final zone and then get knocked by a crazy pump. It was unfortunate. I mean, we had so many players actually rotating out in the open because they just did not have mats. They didn't
mm,
have an
mm,
opportunity to use them. And then, even though they've done so well to get to that final point, they can't go further. They literally it's been made impossible for them. So I do hope that, many of the players that did unfortunately fall victim to that are going to be taking a little bit of extra time to get themselves sorted and get their mats up to a point. And if we turn our attention to Killamot and them, I was really hoping for them that they were going to have an opportunity in that previous game, but they did pick up at least 1 or 2 points over those two games, sitting currently in 25th place. A
mm.
long way to try and climb up to the top if they want to make that happen. I mean, 3 points to 62. Yikes.
Ooh,
Yikes, man.
yeah.
But it doesn't mean that they can't make it difficult for, your current reigning champions. They could literally just go hunt down anyone and everyone that they want to stop in this moment.
That is so true. I mean, they can do anything they feel like. I mean, at this point, they have nothing to lose, so they can put everything on their tables, doubly key the next team doing well, or whatever the case may be. And, it could be unintentional, and somehow luck falls in their favor. They get those eliminations, and then, yeah, it's just not going to be looking good on that leaderboard for those teams over there. But also jump on board with Spicy, Hope, and Physics, which are arguably also in this one to try pump things up going forward for them. But I see in the kill feed, Ryzen actually going down to a play over there. So let's go jump on board with their team right now to see exactly what the clutch plays could be for Shrimples over here, as he does get a good side jump, but unfortunately not good enough of an aim to connect that one over there. He's going to need to pull a rabbit out of a hat if he wants to clutch this one. He doesn't have that much mats to also work with if he needs to build up. Yes, it's 600, but in a build battle cases, you are burning through so much mats over here. He does keep that height. He gets knocked down over there, but a good reset coming out from the opposition to get the cover. And now he sees himself onto another opposition, needing to reload his shotgun, unfortunately, finding himself in that awkward position where he could have gotten that knock in play for him and turn things around, because a 1v2 is likely than a 1v3.
Oh, nice little pump coming through there with 57, going down to the flesh, but taking the same amount of damage in return. And I mean, here for Shrimples, last member standing for their team, so they definitely need to try and do their best to clutch this one out, or that will be it for them. Currently sitting in 18th place, so they definitely need to get some points here, and that will start by getting the win in this fight. Need to get those eliminations confirmed, because at this point, running through the resources, burning through the resources you have, your only hope is to get those immediately replenished by taking them off of your eliminations coming through. But look at the damage, still 18 HP, and that was it. A quick shot coming through, and unfortunately, we're going to be saying goodbye to Physics. Sorry, not to Physics and them, Shrimples and them. But it hurts. It hurts a lot.
It does hurt. I mean, he had a moment to clutch up, and we don't usually see those clutch up moments ever. I mean, it's quite rare where a 1v3 or 1v2 sort of happens, but he did the damage, you know. He broke both players there, but he just couldn't connect final confirmations, and that is it. And you can see the rage sort of display out of him. I mean, as soon as he was eliminated, it was end the game and back to the lobby. He didn't want to see those guys. He didn't care about those guys. He just wanted to breathe a little after that one over there. Talking about breathing and a lot of space, we are seeing Strux and Moki, as well as a third, making a good rotation in open playing field. Nobody really to look at them or even focus them at this point, but it does look like they go into, you know, home of Reapsy, and then by the time now, I think Reapsy already has rotated out of Boney Burbs, which is the POI to the left. So they're just, you know, freely making this rotation on the edge of zone. Nobody really to focus them in this point.
Not at all. Taking a look at it now. So still quite a few players are left alive. Going to have to go right through Weeping Woods there if they want to get into the Eye of the Storm. So many players still making their rotations in. And of course, there was a few players that actually started there. So they might be running into some contention, just trying to get into, you know, the safety here as we look at it. I'm not too sure how it's actually going for, you know, the rest of the teams that we saw in that top five. I mean, you were talking about Travis and them, we were talking about Reaps in them, but, you know, how's it been going with Swizzy? How's it been going with Gingo, Jamie and them? How's it been going with Keaton and Storm, who are currently sitting in first place as Heater? They still teams that are in, you know, the capacity to actually play for those top two spots quite easily. They could turn it over in this game alone. They don't need to worry, you know, necessarily too much about, okay, well, hopefully Travis and them go down, because they have a small enough point gap that they could close it out in one game. But it's going to depend if they can get those kills and they can get those placements point, which we saw, you know, in the end of that last game. I mean, you could be so quick with your pump, but unfortunately, sometimes Fortnite just doesn't want to, you know, recognize that you actually hit that shot.
Yeah, no, it is crazy. I mean, we looked at that POV off stream, and Swish actually connected his shot. The flare and everything was there, but Travis, the Cov, had managed to actually get that confirmation and elimination. It is, you know, first to second, and if I just pull up the placement points quickly for us over here, just to see exactly what these players are working with. I mean, it's only 4 points that they missed on, but those 4 points could be crucial going into the very last game, because you know how things get tied towards those game 4, game 5 positions, because, yeah, they can literally need that 4 points that they missed out on and come out second or even third. So Swish and them definitely not happy about how that ended up for them, but still very much on the come up. And if you look at like game one compared to game number two, that is a double the points that they managed to pull in for game one. I mean, 15 to 32, successfully ranking up the points, and hopefully they continue doing so going into game 4 and 5.
We could hope for it. We could hope for it, absolutely. So, I mean, yeah, there's much to be said about that, ranking up your points, literally going from 15 to double what you've had. Absolutely insane. Oh, looking at this though, one player left alive. Reboot cards
Yeah.
still need to be fetched. Ouch.
Yeah, not looking good for Kratos, Warrior, and them. I mean, definitely oopsie, ouchie moment over there. But we do see Luka Rakic, Genie, and Divs on the sort of a base up formation, trying to see exactly what they can get in over there. And again, guys, I do apologize for maybe even sound quality that we do get out of Discord, but this is literally Lucas Rakic POV only, and it does look like they're going to go in for this build fight or box fight situation that we do find himself sort of building up. And ooh, close. He doesn't have any of the walls over there, now needs to box out even further out. He does have the orc shot, but the walls are being kept safe and held by the opposition.
Absolutely coming through into this one. Needs to be crucial and careful in your decisions, because at any moment in time that could be the knock coming through, and here comes the charge. Leading it, hit 67 pumps, but it's not going to be enough. Hopefully they will be able to recover from this one. It doesn't look like it. That elimination comes through. 2 players left alive in this one to still try and recover the situation. But reboot card's still up for grabs at this moment in time. Down to the other 2 players to try and control the situation. Try and stay alive. Get the shot in. Nice little pump coming through. Cracking the shields. Getting the knock. Now just looking for those last little stragglers to make sure they get that final team wipe done and dusted here. Woo, we're just flying away. No, we're just leaving. We're gone.
An instant disengagement coming out from the opposition, but you have to say a clutch up from Genie FPS as he takes out 2 of the players while Divs was in a healing position, and now they can get the reboot card. And in this late game, very, very scary to get the reboot, because if you look at that map, there's only 2 vans available, and that is in a tight circle that they need to do so. It does look like, however, Genie just gonna grab the truck and go all the way into zone to Weeping to try get the revive over there. He has 35 seconds if he wants to make it back into the zone and then back onto this loot, so that Rakic is fully kitted to continue the rotations. We'll leave this POV and then go over to Reapsy and them to see how things are looking like for them. How have they managed to get into their gameplay? And you do see this right now, and they're in a taxi, sort of just drive by, not really focusing on those eliminations to try get the better positioning in the map. And center zone means the guaranteed next zone.
It's exactly that. We alluded to that earlier on. So they're just focusing on position at this moment in time. I mean, if you're looking at eliminations, not looking too healthy there, but we've seen, the likes of other teams do the same sort of situation and deal with it quite well. But they're going to be running into another team that had the exact same idea, get into center zone and get themselves set up. So taking a little bit of shots there, but have some time to just get those shields up and running. Nice little bit of resources there that they can use. So now they just need to focus their attention on what is happening and who is trying to take them out in this scenario here. Just on the edge of a mountain here, so they have to be they have to be worried about their backline as well, where they literally just came from with that drive-by. So they are currently a little bit surrounded here. A little bit of an awkward situation here on the edge of this mountain, but they can make it work. Got quite a bit of mats here to work with, so they can get themselves out of the situation. They can build themselves out of the situation. So rotations not looking too bad. Got those peppers in hand, so they can really speed themselves out of this one.
Definitely. I mean, a good position they find themselves in, and I can tell you in 25 seconds we will get to see where in the next zone they will be in. And for now, they do got that sort of, like you mentioned, everything they need, right? Going into the next play, they got the launch pad as well. So their moving zones could be amazing for them. So he's just scouting right now. What he's actually doing is going through his friend list to see who still is alive in the tournament, because it does show who you play with. And now just making sure that okay, well, we do know and analyze what's happening around the map over here. But 51 players remaining, and there we go, they're in the next zone, and also in a good position, in a way that I must add on to it, is that in this zone, the zone only forms on the white line. So it's going to be half in, half out of the white line. And that's why it's called the 50-50 zone. And just look at Swish over there. He's connecting shots definitely this time around. And not like last time where he did get that blank. He's managed to successfully pull in for himself. But let's go see what's happening with Neymar, who potentially now needs to clutch up his games if he wants to find himself on the come up on the leaderboard.
Taking a look at game 3, it is turning into a nail biter as we look at it. A lot of teams now in a position to do well. Like we said, there's quite a few teams that could climb the leaderboard here and steal it away from Swizzy and Travis and them. And but that's going to be starting by just try not to get your shields broken immediately. Recovering from the situation now, looking for those eliminations, looking to see where those players are rotating and keeping up with those mats. But everyone is just avoiding the combat at this moment in time. No one wants to get caught out because they're still not in the zone just yet. There's one of those reboot vans they're going to be covering here. Doesn't look like anyone can go for the reboot at the time being because it is absolutely surrounded. And as those players rotate on in, they're doing the damage down to 4 HP. We look at it. A little bit of recovery coming through, but they need to be careful because on both sides, they have teams looking to take them out at this moment in time. You've got people just hopping over walls. You've got people just beaming you down at this very moment. So rotation right now is the best sort of option here. They need to get themselves out into a moment of peace so that they can recover here. But everyone trying to look for this shot, and I do think we know who exactly this is going to be coming through with that knock, and it is just not going well here, unfortunately. Hopefully they'll be able to recover it, but
I wonder if that is Neymar. No, Travis and the cup.
It looks like them. They might have changed their skins.
Okay, no, they changed their skins.
They changed their skins. Okay, I thought it was the same. They're playing with us here, man.
They are indeed. I was like, oh, we got some heat on our hands over here as Neymar and Travis find each other. But unfortunately, different skins going into game number 3. And that's really a good decision coming out. You know, if you are first and you're doing the same skin, then people will focus you a lot more. So for that to play over there, he probably was like, I'm not Travis, I promise. Now we get to see Rejects, Travis, and the cover rotate over here. They got the chili chugs in the back pocket, so definitely a crucial OP item here in this season. I mean, last time around when we casted, I believe the parasites were in the game.
Yeah, that sounds a little bit familiar. I think they were there.
Yeah, the alien sort of head thing.
Yeah, Carnage, Venom, and all of that.
Yeah. Honestly, the most broken part of this season that we had on our hands over here. But now we come to the end and things sort of balance out competitively. I mean, this is literally the final NiBBLE bi-weekly series, as well as potentially the last South African Fortnite tournament we have in the season. And just look over here as we turn on board with the knocks coming out from Rejects. His aim is honestly on point as he does get one person down, but heaven knows where he had located himself. There goes the beams, and now he does look like the other opposition is literally a smither of HP. Rejects in them really showing up to the party with the damage.
Oh, I love to see it. Everyone's staying active with this one. I mean, for Travis, they don't seem to be picking up as many eliminations as we saw them previously, but we still got plenty of players still alive. 27, in fact, as we look at it, picking up those 6 at the moment. So, I mean, I'm eating my words as I'm trying to say it. Travis and the team looking to pick up once again such a high points game. And if they do, I mean, I don't know, Iro. I don't know if they could. I don't think anyone could really catch up to them if that's the case.
Yeah, definitely. It's going to be quite interesting to see exactly what will be going into play for them over there. But They really running away with the tournament right here. Let's go jump on board with Luca to see exactly what's happening over there and how things are playing out.
Getting into the attention here. It looks like damage is still being taken. They're trying to take this onslaught, get into the action as soon as possible. But that starts with getting close. Also, just avoiding that storm as we take it. Everyone trying to do the exact same thing. You can see trying to rotate on in. Or Matt's being broken. Matt's just trying to get into that situation here. But I feel like they're literally just around to go for the pump, turn it around, but just an immediate disengagement here from everyone. I mean, look, at this point, yeah, you need to just prioritize getting into zone, making sure that you're going to be fine. But this could be some good kill points if they don't go for it. I don't know when they're going to get it.
Yeah, well, let's see exactly what happens here. Good rotations, nonetheless, coming out from Rackage, Genie, and Divs as they make this a form of play for themselves. The Chili Chugs at play, so the double movement as well is present for the team. Let's go jump on board, however, with Swish to see if they're making the comeback in points. It doesn't look too good for them as they do have their third sort of done and dusted out of the lobby, and that is just going to be unfortunate for them because they can't really play to their full potential as we hope they could. And if we just see them to making these rotations, they stick together, which is really essentially what you want to be doing. And we go back to Luca to see how they're performing, how things are looking like for them, and you can tell their rotations are looking quite successful. They drop a player down, he tries to line up the pump, but there is nothing there for him to connect as the players and oppositions around him are building. They do turn their focus, however, to another opposition. They got the edit, they get the elimination onto him. It is an anonymous, however, so we won't know exactly who that player is. But Luca, quite low on HP, he's going into the zone. He needs to heal up down to 28 white, and unfortunately, he just cannot escape death. It was inevitable for him, but look, just behind, it is Guan who gets in those eliminations as well.
They'll be able to hold on to that one. So, I mean, for the one that they've lost, at least they picked up a little bit of eliminations in the meantime, sitting on 7 at the moment. Not too bad, but now they're down to the duo. Like we said, a little bit easier to work with. I think that's Travis and them running around like absolute mad lads here, getting the knock. Only one player left alive in the situation here. I'm not sure they can do it, unfortunately, going down in 6th place, but I saw another knock coming through there. So, immediately, just chaos, Iro.
Chaos indeed, and we go on board back with this is a preview. Oh no, this is the end game of 2 players over here, and we're not sure exactly who it is, but Guan being one of them, and then a duo still alive on the rotations over here. And I'm afraid we will be kicked out anytime soon, but the damage is coming out from the anonymous over there, and we're back over here to what could potentially be a Vic Roy, and we're gonna have to wait and see exactly what that is gonna be looking like. But amazing nonetheless, coming out from those players who they popped off, and we did see a little bit of action from Genie onto Rejects and them, and it did look like they also got eliminated at 5th place, not just the same placement points that they did manage to grab in game number 1. I wonder how many eliminations though, because this one the players got sort of wiped out so quickly. I mean, if you looked at it, there was 27 players in the 50-50 zone, so really not much to work with. So this one now tends to slow things down going into the tournament over here.
So again, that's good news for anyone else who's looking to catch up to them if they're not getting as many points as they did in that second game. Picking up 39 again, second game in a row would not be good for anyone else on the leaderboard. So hopefully, I don't want to, wish bad luck on anyone, but it would be nice if we see that competitive spirit still going on and there's still an opportunity for teams to catch up. So we'll see.
We'll see, definitely. But in that meantime, we'll be taking a little bit of a short break, guys, and we'll be right back with game number 4, and we'll be looking at that leaderboard as well. Hey guys, welcome back to the NiBBLE bi-weekly series that we have on our hands over here. It has been a crazy competition, and Proxy, you saw the leaderboard, and let's just go jump on board with that one right now to see exactly what these players have in line for themselves going into game number 4.
Yeah, so I mean, a little bit of a top tumble there. We saw Travis and them actually dropping to second place because lo and behold, Ginga, Jamie, and Nightclub coming through with 87 points from that 39 points a game 3. So this time they were the absolute champions and a half, grabbing, that's just ridiculous amount of points. Moving on through to third place, you got Reapsy, Tem, and Swish in 63 with 63 points. So they're close to that, the first two spots. They're not too far. Then we look at Swizzy and then dropping down to fourth place, unfortunately, with Swizzy, Jojo, and Paris with 57 points, and Heater. And then it really starts to trickle down. So, I mean, we've got 2 games left. The maximum amount of points you've seen, some insane teams grabbing is 39 points. So, yeah, look, you could really pop off and completely change this leaderboard, but you need to pop off. That's the condition. If you want to be able to grab a share of that prize pool, then you really need to be grabbing points here for game 4 and, of course, game 5. I'm not sure how that's going to be turning out for the rest of the teams. I mean, you can see that point difference really starts to get pretty desperate as we go down the list, but there's still options. I think.
Yeah, it is crazy that we've come into this position, right, where Travis is now second, Ginger's first. But Swizzy started with an absolute bang, and he just kept depleting his points going into each game. I mean, 33, 20, 4, and then now we're going to go into the fourth game over here to see exactly what goes into play. But some consistency among the top 3, and it's another close week for these competitors. I mean, first and second shop, they in a race of their own. But for Reapsy, he now needs to double his points in a way that Travis and them are also still alive, still getting killed, still doing the most that they can. So Reaps and them just need to be slightly more active, but knowing that team coming out in the NiBBLE, they're not really too aggressive when it comes to mid game. Their aerial expertise is going to be end game, getting height, low ground, or whatever the case may be for Reaps and them. But enough talking, because game number 4 has started and we can go on board with that one over there. So GG's to the guys who are in this game right now. But it's been so crucial for the teams that we have on our hands over here in terms of competing. They just haven't really popped off in the aspects that are needed for them to guarantee a win. So we're going into game number 4 with question on who will be winning the competitive season of NiBBLE Bi-Weekly Series 17.
17, yeah. That is the question at this point, because like I said, it's still possible for a lot of the teams to potentially knock either, Ginga and Jamie and them, or for Travis and them to knock them out of their spots, take it for their own, and take share of that prize pool. But it does mean that they're going to have to really get as many points as they possibly can in this one. I'd say minimum you're looking at 20 points for this game. And that is if Travis, the team of Travis, Dakov, and Reject literally do nothing. Literally do not get a single point. Cool, then 20 is enough. So if you want to get first place, which is that big ching, you need to do a lot more. So the fact is, if you want to be, climbing that leaderboard, minimum 20 points in this game, at least.
Definitely.
So that's rough. That is rough for a lot of these teams, because some of them have been, running around a 16 to 4 to 13 in our previous games. It's not impossible. We've seen those points being dropped today, but it's definitely a tall order to be placed.
Definitely. Now we're looking at the situation where off spawn, Catty Corner is not going to be contested, so things are slowing down as well for this team, right? They almost had an opportunity of guaranteed points going into each single individual game. This time around, however, they're going to be 3 kills less or 3 points less. So them themselves as well, if they want to catch up to Jamie, and then they're going to need to pick up the pace because they are now behind on points, and it's not that much of a point difference. I mean, it's what, 3 points, which they needed off spawn, and unfortunately won't be having that scenario coming to play. So yeah, Rejects and them needing to clutch up their games over here. We can go over to Swish as well to see how they're going to be playing things out, because they need to pick up the pace a lot more. They need to be a lot aggressive and so forth going into the game number 4, and hopefully we get to see that. But we'll switch things over as they're also uncontested at their spot over there. Let's go see exactly what's happening with Slurpees or Shrimples, because we did see them in an off-spawn sort of situation going into a fight over there. Hopefully we get to see the same sort of instance play out for them, because a clutch off play was in play, but now with the entire trio alive, there could be something in the works going for this team.
Yeah, for Raisin and them, it would be fantastic, of course, for them to pick up some points here, like you said. But I mean, if we take a look at them, let's actually grab their points and start to break down whether or not it is possible for them to really climb that leaderboard. You mentioned before, if you're in that position where you probably can't steal that first or second place, you can still make a big difference for the leaders of the game. You could actually break it or make it for the rest of the players in the map. So for them, sitting in 26th place, I think at this point, just go for the improvement game, see how far you really can go, play to get better at this, so that when you do get another opportunity to come back into this, you can have that experience, you can have that opportunity to do so much better. So this is the opportunity they have in front of them. I honestly can't see a way for them to get into first and second place to get that prize pool. But like I said, they can still affect how this game turns out, how week 17 turns out for the rest of the teams. So that's unfortunately what they'll have to focus on. So it's not the bragging rights, it's not the prize pool, but it is still an impact that can be made.
Exactly. I mean, in the positions we find like Killer Mod, etc., playing in the competitive, and we'll talk more about that. But as we see on board right now, Inferno, Marcy, and Hersey HD in a battle here off spawn at Coral Castle, hopefully to secure their bout, their fight right over here. And now they get sort of focused, and Inferno almost with a pump on his head. He does manage to reset that wall, but the shot didn't even come through from the opposition's end over there. They also taking fights on each of their own over here, and it does look like a good pump will be connected from Inferno, but only 44 damage. He does have a green pump, so it's not going to be the best of damage that is present from Inferno.
Ooh, taking a look at it here. Boxed up, looking for the angles. Of course, has to be so careful. And again, we mentioned before, mats really came into play for a lot of these teams today, really became their detriment. So I'm happy to see that a lot of the teams have sorted it out. I mean, it's still very early on, and obviously you'd want more than you'd ever need just to make sure that you're permanently safe. But a nice little juicy angle here to look at. Just at any point, jumping up and taking this one could be it. But having to choose your time is the biggest issue here, because if you go too early, they might have enough time to switch their focus onto you. And if you go too late, then that could be your teammates out. Unfortunately, that shot not connecting, but at least they are staying safe, not getting any damage for the time being, still in this one. And it's such a juicy angle. You just want to go for it. But again, you have to choose and bide your time. It's the worst.
It is indeed the worst that we can see over here. I mean, this fight also, very early, taking on so much time, and that zone pulled all the way to Catty Corner. I mean, that is miles and miles away, and now they need to take this fight, finishing it, and then still get some utilities as well as mats and so forth to go into the rotations. And that's if they even survive this. I mean, by the way things are playing, it does look like the oppositions have that surrounding around them, so they're very much in an uncomfortable position. They can't really take on any fight as it stands over here. So let's see exactly what turnaround tables could go into play. As you can see right there, they need to sort of make a play for the bounce pads and then fly all over to the next sort of zone circle that is available for them. But the zone is pulling in. Yes, it's only a one ticker zone 1 and 2, but let's see what could potentially go into play, hoping that this team does come in closer so that they can get the pumps involved over here. But it does look like now that opportunity is arising as he sits in the cone waiting for that to come up. There goes the zone past them.
And that storm coming through, just starting to tick away at the damage quite slowly. So they still got a little bit of time to get into safety and potentially grab a couple of eliminations on their way. I am curious to see, if we're going to see this game die out. As we were talking off stream, normally it's game 4 where you see all the players dropping so quickly, but that game number 3 was absolutely so quick. Only 27 players, still alive when we were looking at it, and we still had plenty of zones left. So I'm wondering if this is going to be the same scenario. A nice little shot there to grab those 24 shields, another 24, just keep knocking away at that, but still in zone. Still need to get into safety here, so those rotations need to start coming through at this point in time. Otherwise, we might not, unfortunately, be seeing them make it. So as they do that, you've just drawn the attention of the other teams that have already rotated in, but they're going deeper and deeper into the storm now to try and get themselves set up here. So hopefully they'll be able to get those heals coming through and then make a very quick rotation into the eye of the storm. Otherwise, we're going to be seeing those awkward situations again, Iro.
Yeah, and you always question when such decisions are played out. Yes, it's kill points being distributed to your team, but at what cost is it being distributed? I mean, in 15 seconds, that zone is going to fully close, and then they're going to need to make an even further more of a rotation in just a bit. But this is when things start to be questioned. They have the heals and so forth to carry out. Yes, it's only going to be a one ticker for that is going to be present onto Infernal and them. But it does get more hectic in zone 3. Does look like they scout out the enemy as he's trying to fish in some heals for himself. Unfortunately, going to find himself being eliminated over here. They're going to go in for the shakedown as well to get and track down the rest of the team available. But if you look at that zone is miles away.
Miles indeed. So, I mean, we've always spoken about this, in any sort of battle royale, playing the zone, playing the storm in this case, it's risk and reward, because it could work out for you. You could be the last thing that they would expect to come out of there as a team rotating in late. You could catch a few teams off guard, get a couple of eliminations, and then really catapult yourself up into winning spots. But you just have to manage it. The moment you don't manage it well, the moment you don't get that that white heal off or pop the shield at that right time, that could be the end of you. That could be the end of your team, unfortunately. So hopefully they will be able to make it in. Otherwise, that would be quite a waste going through. But turning our attention to a few of the teams trying to rotate in through to safety there by Retail Row, I don't know. I feel like this is still going relatively quick if I'm looking at the number of players that we have alive, but then we just take a look at the numbers. We're like, oh no, this is super slow. What are we talking about? What happened in that previous game?
Yeah, it questions some questions on how they've managed to still somehow stay alive. 50 players, and we did get into the game with only 69. I repeat, only 69 players went into game number 4, but 84 players went into game number 3, and then all of a sudden everyone was sort of eliminated and nobody remained on the broadcast or sort of being alive towards the very end. We're going to jump on board with Reepsy, Swish, and them just to see exactly what they are doing and how things are doing for them. It seems as if the strategy going in for this team is positioning, right? So they always find themselves in good positions and playing it out slow in the very beginning.
I like it though. It's a good little bit of strategy to obviously set yourself up for the later game, and hopefully that means that we see these teams actually pick up the points. Because, like I said, I don't want to wish anything bad on anyone, but I do want to see that competition still rising. I do want to see, us sitting here on the edge of our seats, waiting for the final moments, because we don't know who's going to be taking the share of that prize pool, and it'd be a complete surprise. The only way that happens is if this stays competitive and if that point gap just stays as small as it possibly can. hopefully we will be seeing that as the case here, because that just makes it so much more entertaining. But looking at it now, still plenty of players in, still plenty of players still to rotate into the zone as well. Hopefully we'll be seeing that happen here. Otherwise, unfortunately, this might end up, not as we would have wanted it to necessarily. But for the likes of Travis, for the likes of, our current leaders, of course, which is Ginga, Jamie, and Nightglow, they would be very happy with it if it goes their way, because 4 points difference between them and second place. That's still so close.
I mean, at this point, they're in a race of their own, right? They're making those rotations and needing like if they are both still alive, they are earning the same amount of placements. So really, you're not dampening the lead. But when we go on board with rejects like we are right now, and then we look at their kill feed and the kill count and so forth, we do see them picking up the points and getting the elimination. So now they sit on 3 points at an advantage to Jamie and them, and needing just one more to clutch up, which seems to be the play over here. You see those tags coming in, and they are connecting quite detrimental over here. So let's see exactly what happens. But as they focusing the oppositions, they just get ramped up, and now things are looking quite interesting in terms of their game being slowed down due to what is being displayed.
Yeah, any point in time, if you're trying to get a kill and there's a third party that's hungry to take it for themselves instead, then it really becomes interesting. So the health not looking too bad, but not too great either. Not at full capacity at the moment in time. So getting those mats sorted again. I do love the fact that, for the team, of Rejects, Travis and Jakar, they really have been so good at managing their situation time and time again, whether it's getting those reboot cards, whether it's making sure that they're still a full stack alive. They really have been so good at staying in this one. So hopefully that will still be the case here. You can see a few of the other teams not looking too great if we turn into worrying them. Unfortunately, they do have a knock. They have to get the reboot cards, and it's an awkward situation finding themselves here under the bridge.
Yeah, no, a good sort of defensive positioning, though. I don't think anyone would be able to find exactly where they're located over here. I mean, really good hiding spot for them. But anytime now, they're going to need to start making the rotations out of this situation. And yeah, Worry, Fnatic, Kratos, and Rapid just haven't had their game played out for them. I mean, every time we tune into them, it's either one of their players being eliminated or them being in a sticky situation, getting focused, and their rotation being paused drastically. But now we tune into them and hoping that, the next rotation that goes into play for this team is going to be successful, because they are on the white line and needing to make the next move where they can is on water, though, because I mean it does look like the water is going down into the zone, so they do have somewhat of a focus of play. And just look at that hiding spot coming into play for them. They do get one elimination. Somehow the team just walks into the trap over there.
Oh, it's such a sneaky little angle here to work with. And I mean, they really are. They're trying to get back up there. There we go. We made it, guys. We made it. But absolutely, love it. We love it to see it, because now they even though they've got that knock coming through.
Yeah, got keyed by Neymar. I don't trust these guys when they type out stuff. It's always weird for me. But he got keyed by Neymar apparently, and at least they survived that one. Hey, who survives a Neymar key?
As I was saying, like, it's a really sneaky angle, and I mean, even though they've got the unfortunate knock, they are at least picking up those eliminations. So hopefully, as a duo, they can make a little bit more happen. Turning our attention now, I mean, is my number correct? Is that 37 players now left, Iro?
Yeah, we are down to 36, and look at the kill feed. A light for us, 34 players remaining. So many have been knocked, so many more dead players are gonna be confirmed over there. Down to 33, and we can just wait for those confirmations to kick in. But I think we may just drop down to 28 in a moment of seconds.
Oh, and once again, this game is just having players drop like absolute flies. Not sure how this is going to turn out, however, because trying to keep up with who is still alive in this one, who's still picking up the points, like we mentioned, 4 points difference between first and second still up for grabs, of course, in this fourth game, and they still have that fifth game coming through. And then, the motivation for players starts falling off. They're like, okay, well, I can't catch up necessarily, so what's the point for me at this point in time? But it is that impact that you can make and getting that experience for the next one coming through, running into a little bit of battle here, that car being exploded, and players just trying to make sure they're still alive in this one while avoiding the bullets that are being thrown at them at this moment in time. Of course, holding the back line, need to be careful of who's coming through for the rotations as that storm is closing, and everyone is looking to get a little bit of real estate into safety. So hopefully this is an opportunity for many of the teams who have made that early rotation. As we can see here, they can sit up and they can contain and they can pick up the eliminations for themselves.
Definitely. They still got a little bit of a small rotation to make, and we've seen how small rotations still mean trouble, still means getting eliminated. And as it stands right now, they are currently being focused as well, so they can't successfully rotate without being focused. And they use the launch pads for just a small sort of rotation, and doesn't look too good for him as he's now down to 1 HP. He will get knocked. He is done and dusted. There's the other teams looking to get the confirmation and hopefully some mats and so forth to be played over here. He's been a naughty one by going all the way into the zone so that he gets tagged up if he wants to get that refresh.
Oh, that's unlucky. Looking at this one now, a little bit of a recovery situation here if we want to try grab it. That storm is going to be moving, pulling a little bit more towards, that left-hand side. So for a lot of the teams that, have been located in the northern side of the map or at the northern side of the zone, now have to make a very awkward rotation here, right through all of the teams that are still alive. I mean, there's still a lot of players in this one, Ira. It's definitely a lot more sustainable than what we saw in that previous map.
Definitely. I mean, previous map was just so W key fest, right? I mean, we come down to 69 players, and it's the same sort of amount of players remaining in this one. So that just means things have slowed down just a bit here for game number 4. I can only imagine what game 5 is going to be looking like over there. And we just see fire. Someone needs to call the extinguisher company, because that guy is going to be burning anytime soon. But he does get himself some cover and some hard mats being displayed over there. And just when we talk about it being slow, we're down to 23 players within seconds.
Of course, it is the case. There's so little space to work with here. Everyone just looking for the angle. Exactly like we can see at this moment in time. Beautiful shots coming through, and that is the trigger for anyone to try and aggress that one. They want those eliminations. They want those confirmations and those points in their pockets so that they can worry a little bit less about kill points and, of course, get a little bit of a better position here, just trying to find a tunnel into the action here. But, of course, there's just so many mats being placed down at this moment in time that trying to find, any of the players in this situation is like trying to find a needle in a haystack. Absolutely a difficult task indeed. And of course, they have to be worried about all the other teams that are in the same area as them, looking for the exact same kill points.
Definitely. At this point, Luca and them are actually doing so well. I mean, 9 kills on the board for the team. They can go on to pick double-digit kills as well as we reach top 8 teams going into this final rotation. Divs, Genie, and them have nothing to lose in this aspect over here because of their performance going into game 1 and 2. If this is how they played, they would have been so much more higher on that leaderboard. But we are seeing now them trying to pick up the pace, trying to beam in as much as they can possibly, and we will be seeing the rotations coming in with 18 players remaining for the first moving zone here in the final week 17 NiBBLE bi-weekly series. And they have a huge number of mats, and a player just walks through the balls and he goes through there. I'm not sure if that was his teammate, but it did look weird for me for a second.
Yeah, it just looked like we had players flying through the walls, but we've got players flying into that one. Sick pump coming through there onto Anonymous there to pick up that elimination almost immediately. I was like, listen, this is questionable at best, but if you've got aim like that, then it doesn't matter. We're just picking up eliminations. Thank you, come again. Moving on into the eye of the storm now, we're looking for a few more, aren't we? So those builds coming through now, just trying to find the players once again into the absolute chaos that is this one, and not coming through, unfortunately for them. So down to the duo they go, trying to hold on to these kills. Beautiful couple of shots coming through, just tipping away at those shields. But they have to be careful, because as they're trying to aggress onto everyone else is trying to do the exact same thing.
And he goes in for a short launch over here. Genie looking very much low on HP. They're not even situated together. There goes Genie down and dusted. Now Luca left alone to sort of defend himself. And we can go on board with a Rejects POV once we see exactly what the next play is going to be here for Luca. And it does look like he is going to be safe. So we move over to Rejects, and Rejects is eliminated. And we go over to Switch just to see whether or not they somehow remain in the map, and they do so, and they are as a duo. They're picking up all the mats with the harpoon. They have the heighted position as well on the map over here. So Swish as well as Reapsy now need to clutch up this game if they want to find themselves in a good position of note, because being eliminated at 6th place for a Rejects and them just means little points on the board, and we don't know how many eliminations they did get. Whether they even got that much is the question as well. Seeing that we are down to so little players on rotation means that there's not that much to work with the players competing here in the game number 4, and we just see Reapsy and Swish just controlling height, and they themselves as well don't even have that much points. They need to be a lot more active and hopefully pick up what is the remains of game number 4.
Remains of game number 4 is a good way to put it, because everyone is just grabbing at the crumbs that are left. Every single player just scrambling for a position here in this final zone. And of course, that storm going to be coming through, going to be forcing everyone to get us a confirmation who's going to be winning game number 4, who's going to be climbing that leaderboard, and who is going to be the champion, the victory royale of week 17. It all starts here with game 4 coming through. A little bit of connections coming through that unfortunately is not going to be the elimination they quite need just yet. Still 7 players alive in this one, 2 of their own in this team. So still 5 left all around them, scrambling here just under them with these mats now being wasted. It's going to get awkward real soon. That storm is getting smaller and smaller. And at this moment in time, they're just looking for an angle to get into this one. Trying to find out where exactly these players are, and it's awkward, Iro. They can't find the angle just quite yet, because the mats are just constantly getting in the way, and now on top of that, they have to turn their attention. All of a sudden, they're going to be the victims of this one. Those mats coming in just in time, but look at the HP taking damage short by short. That 46 coming through. The knock is confirmed at least, so they recover from the situation for the time being, but they still have to survive it. They're still in the storm, but they still have to take on another team.
Oh, and just when we thought they could get the win over there, their height was taken from them. They were ramped up. They didn't have the HP at hand to actually survive the entire scene over there, and that was it. Done and dusted for game number 4, and we will see exactly what this means, right, Proxy? Because Rejects and then did get eliminated quite early. However, Reapsy went all the way to 2nd with not that much eliminations. So there's really not that much to work with all in all. And I still think we'll have a 1st, 2nd, 3rd in its order. But that depends though. Did Ginger as well as Jamie and Nyclo actually make it all the way to the end? Unfortunately, we don't know. We can only tell when we look at that leaderboard. And yeah, what a successful set of gameplay. Guys, we don't want to waste any more time. So we're going to go quickly into a short break, and we'll be back looking at that leaderboard, and we'll see you guys in the break right now.
What we do here is go back.
Hey guys, and welcome back to a NiBBLE bi-weekly game number 5. This is the last one on the boat. And if we look at that leaderboard right now, guys, we can see exactly what we have on our hands. It is so close. And I can tell you, these guys are not going to be giving or quitting just yet. If you look at the leaderboard, which I'll bring over to you guys right now, we get to see exactly who's in first. And Ginger still remains that first place position, which is really good. And then in second place is going to be Travis, Rejects, and the Cub. But quite a lot of points need to be played out over there if they want to clutch up their positions. And then we go over to Reepsy, who's in third, Tem Swish as well with 88 points. If they want to come even first or second, they need at least a 30-point game or a 35-point game, and then hope that Ginger and them die on the rotations or whatever the case. But a good comeback coming up from Neymar. He does manage to secure 28 points, and that leaves him on 63. A good game out from Divs, Rakic, and Genie as well, where they on 61. So the top 5 looking really good. But let's go jump on board with the gameplay, guys, as we see exactly what's in play for us over here. Bring the gameplay in. So there we go. But yeah, what an interesting sort of event going into play for us over here, guys. It is the finals of the NiBBLE bi-weekly series. And I say finals because it's the very last one that there is in South Africa over here, guys. So yeah, there has been an amazing scene and run coming out from all competitive players who have done the absolute most to make this one what seems to be the most successful series out of any Fortnite tournament. So thank you guys so much. And yeah, let's see what game 5 has inclined for us, because it is either going to be a guaranteed Ginger win because of how many points they have on the leaderboard, and then or it's gonna be the Cov, Travis, and Rejects absolutely running away with eliminations and so forth. So we see them here at Catty Corner. They were contested game 1, 2, 3, but now this time around game 4 and 5 haven't been contested. So they haven't gotten those, secured points. And I say secured because anyone is winning those off-spawn fights if it is your home to go to. We go over to Fnatic Kratos. We see where they land, and it does look good for them. So let's see exactly what happens with the gameplay going forward and how things play out for them. But let's go jump on board with a Swish, Reepsy, and Tem POV as well to see exactly how things turn up for them, because I can tell you it's not going to be the most easiest sort of win that they need for them if they want to come through with a successful one. It's going to be quite detrimental and tough for them if they want to see the win going forward. Already good spots that we find our teams in, the rotations going forward. Rejects and them still here at Tati, making sure that they get the mythic weapon as well. spicy physics and them just getting eliminated so quickly. Let's go jump on board with their gameplay to see whether or not Hope can clutch up. And unfortunately, Hope cannot clutch up their gameplay over there, and they get eliminated and sent back to the lobby. So that is the GG's all in all. Let's go see what Rejects and them are up to as well. Still making the rotations. We go jump on board with Fnatic Kratos to see exactly what's happening on board with them. Also making some decent sized rotations. Now I do believe Rejects and them were going into a fight, though they weren't. So they're driving at and around Rita Row, but there is nobody there to get eliminations on. So many players are starting to get knocked, are starting to get eliminated. Ved gets eliminated, and his entire team looks to be sort of wiped out in this position over here, which is very, very unfortunate. Very early to get eliminated as well. Let's go jump on board with Moki and them to see what's happening. They are edge of map, so they look very much safe. They look very much good in terms of how their rotations are going into play. It doesn't look like Swish and them are making any sort of serious competitive moves over here. Now they're starting to make the rotation just outside Boney Burbs, but they should have done so very early on in the games over there. We can see, you know, how many players are still remaining. Ginger still in this one. They tire sort of burst over there, and it doesn't look like they're going to go into any play just yet as they stay in a positive sort of rotation going into the center zone. But their tire is done and dusted over here. Good rotation for the team over here to make the play where they can get themselves into the positions that they like. Moki still on the outskirts, hasn't made any dramatic rotation for them. Hershey and them have been eliminated, unfortunately, so they out and dusted out of this one. Wari, Rapid, and Kratos as well making the eliminations over there.